Good evening, guys. How are you? Gabs here. What's in the Glass Digital Beer Streams. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you're well. I hope you're having good beer right now, later, this morning, whatever you fancy to drink some good beer. There's always a good place. There's always a good time for have it. I hope you're well. I hope you are getting excited about all of these beautiful new things that are happening in our industry, in our world, in our pubs. Very soon, apparently, we're going to meet again outdoor, drinking some pints, drinking some beer. So we should be quite happy. We should be ready to crack on in a responsible way. Very, very, very important. If you haven't met me before, my name is Gabs. I'm trying to be the best beer communicator I can. I'm within the beer industry from around 10 years now, and I'm based in London. And during this crazy period of time, I didn't really know what to do to stay in touch with the community. I had to spend time at home, like probably most of us, but I had a lot of beer, and I had a pretty quick, fast connection on internet. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm gonna try to create something that can put the people together from the industry, but not just the industry. So this is how What's in the Glass started. Digital Beer Stream was just like a simple reaction of it. And it's an exclusive digital broadcasting show, just to underline the fact that this is all about giving people place, giving people, like a voice, giving businesses, giving breweries, giving pubs, giving bottle shops a place to tell us, how they're doing, how things are, what the situation is in their community, in their area, in their shop as well. How operationally are they facing the new challenges of the present? So you probably gonna see me here talking with many different people, and this is what it makes me very, very happy every day I'm doing it. Another project is Turning the Tide. Actually, today is going out the second episode on YouTube. So if you have a chance, please check it out on the What's in the Glass YouTube channel. It's gonna be a 25-30 minutes show. Is the second episode. It's gonna it's gonna be focused on North London mostly, so please check it out if you want after the show. And when you are into the craft beer community, you get to know many different people. Some of these people are really pushing hard to making sure they're giving the best possible showcase to local craft beer, local breweries, and this is what really makes them important, because they are sometimes, most of the times, the point, the channel, the link in between craft breweries and the people. And especially if they are in areas, interesting areas, I would say, outside London, outside like the most, like urban kind of links within the country, that's when things even started to be even more interesting, because it's where most of the trends are getting on. And you do not underestimate Essex. You don't underestimate all the areas, especially outside London, because it's where the real, the people really looking after what they're doing and the products and stuff. So I had the chance to be able to speak with Hoppily. I'm here with Mark, and I'm here with Cheryl, and we are going to be able to understand a bit more how Hoppily works and how they're doing in these days. So please, if you can welcome the guys. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, guys?
Very good. I've got beer, so that always helps.
Yay.
So
I do too.
Got my face for radio on as well.
Cheers.
So I brought someone much more appealing than me, Cheryl.
Look at that. I'm very happy to be here with you guys, because again, as I said, I most of the people in London doesn't know really well what's happening outside London, because everything started to be that London centric, especially in beer. So thank you to be here. Thank you to tell us what's going on.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we are actually here in Chelmsford, so it's actually our second site. So, I guess it's funny you're saying about this kind of London centricity, because, we've always lived in and around London anyway. Essex and London are kind of connected, right? So everyone who really, people who are earning money in Essex and are working in London, and so we did the same. So we've always commuted in and out. So London and Essex are really well connected, and from that point of view, we've always kind of seen it as one and the same. So Hoppily always kind of when it first started, we only focused on our local geography. So we always found London was part of that anyway. So, it's quite interesting that you kind of see this London very centric kind of world in beer. I think that's probably true, but actually there is life outside the M25. So
that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly it. Especially yesterday with Leigh On Sea Brewery, the guys were like,
Sam, weren't you?
Yeah. Can you believe there are so many links and the people are traveling so easily between the two places that sometimes Londoners don't realize they can spend a day out or an afternoon out exploring what's happening next door.
Tell me about it. I mean, I know unnamed breweries here, but people who get a bit of a nosebleed going north of London Bridge, come to Southend. It's 25 minutes drive. So it was quite interesting during the lockdown period when obviously there's no traffic or anything. You could drive from the Bermondsey Beer Mile to Hoppily in Leigh On Sea in about 25 minutes. So I tell you what, that's a better journey than going to deliver to some, the Dog and Duck in West London. So come east, guys.
There we go. That's lovely to hear. And don't get me wrong. I'm sure most of the people that are watching today heard about you, know what you're doing, guys. But if you would like to introduce yourself and tell all the people in here and what is about Hoppily, what about you guys, please, this is your time.
Absolutely. So, I mean, so Hoppily's been running for, will be 4 in a few months' time, which is absolutely crazy, right? So the business started up in sort of mid 2017, and we kind of started off as a subscription business that kind of wanted to do some stuff in the community. So we had our subscription service, and then we kind of got really stuck into engaged in the local. We did lots of local events in and around Essex, kind of outer part of London, because we always were very passionate about selling local products to local people. So we thought that was a good start point for our proposition, particularly on the subscription front. I guess since then we've kind of expanded our. We now have 2 sites, so we have 2 tap rooms, one in Leigh On Sea, so that's part of Southend, and this new one in Chelmsford where we're sat now. And our online offer has completely changed over the period. So on day one we only did subscriptions, but now you can go in and we've got a full bottle shop, and we're on other channels like Amazon and not on the high street and what have you. So the business has matured over a period of time, and obviously, like everybody, the last 12 months has been really interesting for our business and where it's gone. And it's a family business too. So I mean, Cheryl was also my wife, so she's I thought I'd bring Cheryl on because she's the person who picks up the phone and talks to people, and the guys in the beer industry in London know Cheryl. They're probably thinking, who the hell is this long-haired guy? Because Cheryl does a lot of the hard work and a lot of the hard yards and relationship building. One of the things that Hoppily's always done, we want to deal directly with breweries. We want to really understand what they're about, what their products are about, so we can really showcase them in the best way. Because at the end of the day, selling beer can be very commoditized if you're not careful, right? We don't want to be competing on price. We want to be competing on experience. And that's what, even when we were only online in Hoppily, that's why we were, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday to go to a farmer's market and actually get the word out there and engage with the community and, expand our reach. So that's something, which we will continue to do going forward. So, Cheryl, go on. Sorry,
this
Gab.
is brilliant because I know by a fact that you've been very successful in creating fantastic relations, especially with breweries, and I'm sure with customers as well, seeing the following that you have on social media and the people commenting about the show today. But I know you are picking up carefully the breweries you want to work with, and and all the product. And Cheryl, do you have, for example, breweries in London that you are like to work with mostly, or someone you want to mention?
I'm going to give a shout out to 1 Mile End. Pierre and Sam do a fantastic job. And they're used to me now texting at 10 o'clock in the evening going, oh my gosh, I'm out of kegs. I need something, help. Yeah. As Mark said, it's a family business, but I have a couple of other jobs as well. I became a personal trainer during lockdown. So I finished at the gym yesterday because, you know, the world is going to start reopening as of next week. Finished at the gym. And
I need the personal training, you see. So
I need it too.
Yeah, well, maybe we could do like,
I tell you what, but we'll go half, Gabs. It's cheaper. You know?
We could do something, I'm sure. But I popped into Tottenham last night to pick up some urgent beers that I needed. And poor Pierre, you know, stayed past, you know, home time just so that I could go and get those beers. So those guys, I think, are tremendous. Incredibly small team. Pierre, Sam, and Terry doing sales, and their beers are just awesome. You know, the kegs you can put on. There's no wastage. You know, just from a sort of product control point of view, they're fantastic, and you can sell them. Everybody loves them. They're hazy. They're juicy. They're not too overtly strong. And so I really like those guys.
So I would just give Gerald a job at 1 Mile End.
Yeah. Like I need more jobs.
Yeah.
But,
Gerald, you talk to loads of like the breweries. I mean, she's often the face or voice of Hoppily or what have you. Yeah, who else like?
At the moment, I'm really, really enjoying Polly's and Panoma. I know they're not in the London reach.
In terms of the beers.
Beers and actually working directly with the breweries. You know, they don't push you to go on any trade platforms or anything. And what's really, really important, because I also run the tap rooms as well, is actually understanding the breweries, understanding what the next 12 months, you know, let's forget the last 12 months because, you know, everything just went to pot. But actually understanding their ethos, what they're trying to achieve, what's coming, what's new. I have to say, the girls within the beer industry are absolutely fantastic. So shout out to Tasha. I think she popped up on the screen earlier. She's watching. Yeah, we love you guys. Sarah at Orbit, just phenomenal. And you know, Jaeger at Wildcard. I mean, I know she was on this week as well. Beautiful human being, and just great beers.
Absolutely. I know you're supporting quite well Wildcards. I've seen for the first time their latest collection with the kind of tarot looking cans on your website.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah, the Walthamstow Wetland. Yeah, the beers are really good. I mean, I'm not sure that there's any peregrine falcons in Walthamstow Wetlands, but, you know, it's fine.
Artistic license.
We'll let them off. The beer is fantastic. So absolutely. Funny enough, a brewery who we developed a relationship with really early on. You know,
actually, Will was the first person I spoke to.
Yeah, the first person Jerry on the court was William at Wildcard, and you know, back in the day when Rosie used to work there, you know, some good times. You know, there's some good people, and we've built long-term relationships with these people. So you know, these are guys who we dealt with on day one of Hoppily directly, and we've continued to work with them over a number of years. And that's what we've always tried to do. I don't, you know, apart from anything else, the economics of the business mean that you can't, you know, if you want to insert third parties into the mix, it doesn't really work so much. Yeah, we're a retailer, so like we want to work directly with the breweries because one, we can, you know, we can just, you know, we can represent them and actually understand the product. You know, two, we can make a bit more money out of it, frankly. But you know, and three, it's just, you know, how can we be representative of that brewery's product unless we really if we've gone to meet them, gone to see them, you know, okay, that's not so easy right now, and that hasn't really. But you know, as time goes on, you know, we want to get out there and engage with those customers. We're representing them to our customers, so it's important. So. Yeah.
You mentioned the relationship with the breweries and with the producer. Tell me something a bit more about your customers, because I'm sure you play a big role on, you know, making sure that these customers started to understand why you were having a juicy beer rather than a sour, rather than a pastry stout. How did he mutate in the years, let's say?
I have to say, I think it's just being part of our community by doing community events. I'm going to give a shout out to Southend Pride. I'm the treasurer for the team, and we just.
I don't think you meant to be on a call with.
I am, and I'm sorry, I wasn't able to do that today.
I don't suppose they're watching, so
just in case.
You never know.
Just in case. But you know, being a part of your community. So what I find really, really interesting is that I will sell huge amount of beer to middle-aged females they're really into beer, want to try something a little bit new, they will just go on your recommendations. I cannot
and
tell
buying
you,
for themselves as opposed to just buying for their husband
somebody
as
else,
well, which is interesting.
which I think is awesome. And so you just start to build a rapport with people, and people like recommendations. And what I find just the best is when people just come back and say, Cheryl sold me this last time, or Emma, who we introduced you to for our people watching. Emma's going to be running our Chelmsford site for us, and she's phenomenal. And I just love it that people come back and say, Cheryl, Emma sold me this. We love this. What are you going to recommend for us for this week? So that's really nice. I like it that people, give us free rein on their taste buds.
I think there's also that little kind of, we've always been an online first business, but actually you can sit in your ivory tower in your online business waiting for customer interactions, and you won't get any, and you may not even get any sales if you're not careful. So we've always thought the physical has been really important to developing that online presence. And so, I mean, some of these people that Cheryl was talking about, who she's developed personal relationships with, maybe in the tap room or events in like the locality of, Southend and the wider Essex area. What was really great to see was those customers became online customers during lockdown, because that's really nice to see that there's that kind of
there's trust as well.
Yeah, I think so.
There's trust that they understand that we're going to deliver good beers, good quality beers, and that we understand what their price range and historically what they've enjoyed. It's been a little bit challenging over the last 12 months. My phone kind of went a bit crazy during the first lockdown, with people saying, Cheryl, do you remember what you sold me last year? 6 months ago, I sell a lot of beer to a lot of people.
I don't actually remember who you are.
I do remember most people. But yeah, it's really, really nice. But I guess for us, what we really, really wanted to do is make a safe, open space for people. And that's one of the reasons I mentioned, my role for Southend Pride. We're just an open, family-run business. Yeah. Everybody's welcome. Regardless of how au fait you are with the latest beer drops or what have you. It's a safe space for everybody. I just want people to come in, enjoy the beers, enjoy the company, try and make it so it's home from home. And what really, really makes me happy on a Saturday when we could be open, we'd just have, we'd have some singletons, we'd have couples, but by the end of the night, everybody is chatting and everybody, has something to say, enjoying the beers, and feels comfortable to come in, even if it's 12 o'clock, tap room's just open, it's just me getting set up or something. I'll have my few regulars just come and hop up at the bar, and it's a beautiful thing. But we're not snobby about anybody's beer preference or background, or actually
that's really interesting. I mean, there's been, I don't know, you probably picked it up on Twitter, there's been a few things trending, right? Mm-hmm. And it is quite interesting because, okay, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but if it's not careful, the craft beer scene, particularly in London, can be a bit obnoxious. Let's say it's not as accessible as it should be if you're not appearing to know everything about the beer or be really geeky about it, and it can be a little bit intimidating, I think, for some people, particularly women. That's why I think we kind of take it a slightly different view. I'm not really bothered by that. It doesn't really matter what it is. We're just trying to engage you with good quality local products, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who you are or what it is you stand for, whether you know what the difference between double dry hopped IPA and and whatever else might be. It doesn't really matter. It's about good quality products, and if you enjoy them, great. If you know about it and you want to talk about them and be really geeky about it, that's fine too. But don't do it in a way that traps it, means that everyone else can't access it. And I think there's a little, and I think I just thought it was quite funny, some of the things I saw today. And there's not obviously a lot of debate, and some of the beer writers have been getting involved. It's quite interesting just to observe it and thinking, yeah, it's probably about right. But that's what we've always kind of we always kind of look, and okay, look, we're in an unfashionable place. We're from Essex. We're not in Shoreditch or in Walthamstow. Well, we might, we might look at London's interesting for us. We have a lot of customers in London. But so we're in unsexy places like Leigh On Sea and Chelmsford. It's like commuter zone, right? So we aren't at the cutting edge. So we have a much broader range of customers. So we get, there's the beer geek, of course, but there's a lot more. We get a lot more. How can I say it? Normal people who want to be taken on a bit of a journey. They would usually drink Peroni out of a bottle in the pub, or they'll drink Guinness, or they don't really know, but they're interested in something that's different, and they've got the money to spend to do that. They would spend £6 a pint on a pint of Peroni or Carlsberg or what have you. So it could be that a craft lager is the introduction point. It could just be you go a bit deeper, but there's ways and means of trying to take people on a bit of a journey. Education isn't really the right word, but it is a little bit. So there's an alternative to the mass-produced stuff. Which if that's if you like beer, that's fine. But we can turn you on to something that's much more exciting than swigging a bottle of Peroni or Nestor, whatever. It's.
But also, I think what's become more apparent is people want to buy local, and as I said, that's something that we were really passionate about to start with. When we started,
we were really anal on that. We never used to buy a beer from outside Essex or London for at least 2.5 years. The first thing I ever bought was we once bought some beers from Brew York because we were going to an event in York and we thought it was a good thing to do. But so we were really, really, really strict. To be honest with you, that's probably a bit extreme. And actually, it's good to encourage people to drink good beers from across the UK. And actually, that we were realizing that we were missing out on some really interesting breweries and beers and different stuff. That we should have been touched. Should have been. Oh, hello, people saying hello. See you next week, John. Here you go. The local tap room attendee in Leigh On Sea, keen runner. Maybe we should do some training with Cheryl. Take the beer. But
something that I love since the first time that we had a chance to chat, it was these democratized beer kind of sentence, which is still growing in my mind. It feels actually everything is going the opposite way.
Democratize. Yeah, we talked earlier in the week, democratizing beer. That was it's kind of, I don't want to sound wanky about it, but at the end of the day, beer is it's kind of the lowest common denominator product. It's not expensive. You don't have to spend £25 a bottle on a good quality bottle of wine. You can get a good beer for a few quid. It's meant to be accessible for everybody, male, female, whatever it might be. And I think if we're not careful, you can kind of lose that democratization impact of beer by making it too snobby, or just I don't know, too fussy, or the way you need to serve it, or camera is camera people, getting het up by the fact it needs to be served out of cask. I mean, like, Hoppily wouldn't qualify it as a camera venue because we don't have any cask beer. Does that mean to say that people who like good beer can't enjoy themselves in Hoppily? No, of course it doesn't. But it means that we kind of that's fine, as each to their own. But it's that kind of thing. That's why. So that isn't very democratic, because immediately, if you don't serve cask beer, you're not in the club in camera. And there's other that's one example. But the craft beer scene's just as bad on the other extreme. So I think we need to be really careful that it's about beer, and it's about enjoyment, and it's about bringing people together in community. And that's what we've always tried to do in Hoppily. And so in our own little way. And so what we've done in Leigh, we're going to try and do in Chelmsford. We want people to come in. How do you want to use the space? Do you want to play a gig in here? Do you want to do some comedy? Do you want to put your artwork up on the wall? Whatever. I mean, but we'll see. It doesn't need to be driven by us. I mean, the greatest thing that we did in Leigh was that I'm hopeless at pouring pints. So you'll only really find me on the other side of the bar. I'll be having a beer. And I like to chat to the customers, and in all the venues that we have, the 2 venues we have, and any ones we have in the future, we want them to be small and intimate, so people have to get to talking with each other.
Yep.
And so, music and beer is one thing. I'm passionate about both of those things, and so just by chatting to a few different people, we kind of got into the idea. Should we do a vinyl night in Hoppily? And I'd had this conversation bilaterally over a beer with a few people, and then one evening, randomly, these 4 guys who I didn't even know knew each other. I'd had the same conversation with all of them. They all came in en masse and said, we've come to organize the vinyl night. And it was like, okay, that's great. It's like, you've done our job, and that's the sort of thing that we like to promote. And it'd be great to have that kind of thing back. I mean, obviously we've lost all of that stuff.
What's happening?
Really doing here, this is kind of replacing some of that community interaction that, unfortunately, by the way of the world, has been lost really for most of the last. Okay, there was pockets when we could open, but
this is not going to be forever. Actual
exactly.
Because, as you said, the national hibernation is getting to an end, using Boris' words. And then, so what's happening? Like, what are your plans for next week, for the next weeks in general?
I mean, so in the short term, so it's a bit of a token gesture. We don't have a beer garden, so both of our sites have got some tables and chairs outside. There's not massive numbers of people, but hey, if you want to come and have a pint outside, you can do that. And that's a bit of certainly for the Chelmsford site, it's important where we signed the lease in January. To be honest with you, we wanted to do it before Christmas, and then obviously the world started to go wrong again in the latter part of the year, so we didn't rush. But we thought, we may as well just get in there and start doing the work. And we'll sell some products in. And actually, it's been quite gratifying. Here we are in the middle of Chelmsford city centre. It's as dead as a dodo, like most city centres are, because all the shops are shut and most of the people aren't working in the offices. But it's been quite surprising how many sales we've done. And, we've got people who are coming back and already developing relationships with Emma, who's working here. And so it's good that we've already set the scene a little bit. So, ultimately, like in this place, this is going to be much more of a flagship than the Leigh On. Sadly, the Leigh On Sea site is pretty small, but we're going to have, a tap ball of 8 taps upstairs here in Chelmsford, which hopefully will be ready for when the real opening happens in May, and then obviously June is when I guess things are kind of a bit more back to normal. So so we're looking at that. We'll reopen our site in Leigh on the same basis. We're taking bookings already. Actually, I think as the world comes back, we're kind of looking forward to maybe there's some other places we could. I'm really interested in. Let's not give away any trade secrets. We had this conversation earlier in the week, Gabs. But there's a couple of locations where we think actually, do you know what? We could do a Hoppily here, and there's definitely the clientele that would really value the proposition. But at the moment, there's just no activity, and they're not too far away from where we are, or London. It's quite interesting where we could actually do something that's really interesting and kind of bring craft beer to life in places which at the moment just don't have any. There's no breweries out in some of these places. So I think we're quite interested in seeing how that might transpire. And then I guess go on.
That will be probably the best kind of action than any sort of responsible operator, whatever sort of operation you're running should look at, because as you mentioned, the craft beer community knows already what it wants, knows already pretty much where to get it. So we need more customers. We need more people jumping on board and switching from their habits, which are not really helping the craft beer community at all, to
agree.
Trust you guys, trust your choices.
The most important customers to us are not probably everybody who's watching this, sorry guys, but it's the people who have a casual interest, who could actually be converted from drinking Carlsberg to drinking, whatever their local brewery's pale ale might be. They're much more interesting because that's also a much bigger market. There's a lot more of those people that we can get into this community and make this community wider and also a bit more accessible, because they don't bring their preconceptions. They go, well, I like going for a beer with my mates on a Friday night. It just so happens that, I mean, let's face it, until 10 years ago, if you went to any old pub, you would just pretty much get the same beers. Yep. Okay, you might be able to get a Green King IPA if you wanted to, or what you could get some real ale, but craft beer didn't really exist. Let's face it, until not that long ago. So it's not that surprising that a lot of people don't really know what it is, or have some preconceptions that are actually quite negative about it. And it's like, why is it so? I mean, this sometimes the worst customers are the ones who don't have an open mind, don't want to engage. Why is it so expensive compared to me going to the Wetherspoons? Well, some of these people you can't help, right? But
well,
there is a story.
This is what I want to hear.
Yeah, there's a story to tell though, and actually you can convince some of these guys. It's like, okay, I can understand why I'm not paying £2 a pint. I'm paying £5 because I know that this brewery actually is around the corner, and they're tiny as opposed to operating out of a big multinational company's brewery somewhere in a faceless industrial estate. So, there's always
how can you convince people to actually spend more to something they don't know yet?
I think it's about content and experience there. Oh, sorry to jump in. I think it's about content and experience and making it really. I don't think we very rarely. We're not the cheapest. We're not the most expensive place in terms of having a pint. But the people who kind of, I think if you've made the choice to come in and there's a certain scene, there's certain music, there's certain people, no one complains about how much it costs. People self-select, even if they don't know anything about craft beer. They have to be open.
But actually, going back to when we were able to reopen after the first lockdown, we made it such in our humble opinion, a really safe place. We reduced quite a lot of seating. Everybody was socially distanced. We made it mandatory for people upon entry. Before it was, Boris had made it mandatory that people just wear their mask, do their hands, that they give us their details just in case we needed to get hold of anybody because of an outbreak. So, and I'm also type 1 diabetic. So I take this, this whole COVID situation incredibly serious. I know some people don't, but we should. And so I think people really enjoyed that we took those extra measures and they felt really safe and comfortable that we were doing the right thing by not only the staff, but by the customers. And I had no pushback on any, when I asked people, can you please pop your mask on? Even if you're just going to the bathroom, please mask on, just do it. Do your hands, free hand sanitizer. I had no pushback at all. And the amount of compliments that we had, that people said, we just want to come here because we just feel comfortable and safe. And we've got to know people that usually sit on the other table at 8 o'clock. And so again, that sort of community vibe. But, for us, it's about keeping people, we have to, be responsible for our staff and our customers. And that is part of the experience, I think now, is that people know that it's a safe space, it's comfortable, and they're going to get great product, good music, depending on if Mark takes over the music when I'm in.
So I guess maybe there's a premium then just because of just the environment. And even if you're not that interested in the beer itself, but what you will be enjoying is something that's more craft. Even if you'll always stick to the bottle of lager that's in the fridge, craft one, of course. But but you'll pay the premium for that because of the other element. Maybe that's the answer.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I had the privilege to chat with John Keeling as well a couple of months ago, and I asked him why are people going to spend more money to go in a pub again after all of this time, because they probably develop habits of drinking at home and things like that. He said, because drinking in a pub is so much better. You're going to be surrounded by nice people dancing with your body or just feeling the vibe.
There's only so much you can recreate at home. And look, I'm sure all of us have been on like Zoom calls where we've had some beers and, online beer tastings are never quite the same. You kind of want to, apart from anything else, it puts real pressure on whoever's hosting to keep on talking and they never even have a chance to drink anything. So, all this stuff just works better. And beer's about being around and just having a little chat with people and, who you might run into, who you don't run into anybody if you can be sat at home, do you?
And also, I cannot dance around my kitchen anymore on Saturday night. It's over. I think my neighbours will be really pleased for me to go back working on the Saturday night shift.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Well, I'm telling you, you're right. I've seen things and I've heard things in these last months. Just being where I am, then I I hope these people are going out anytime soon because it's time. What do you think in general about the next future of this industry? Do you see people drinking more low ABV or no ABV at all, rather than a higher IPA, myth or sour? Do you have any sort of feelings of what could happen?
Oh God, well, it's quite interesting. A lot of the sours are consumed by females, which I really hate to say, but yeah. Emma and I both love sours. I'm looking around at Emma now, but we also really like strong stouts and porters. You know, during the week, I love the idea of a low ABV. I think that's brilliant for I call it school night. But there's been a real mix of sours in terms of people looking for that lower ABV 0.5. You know, can you? You know, there's definitely been an uptick on that.
I think it's a niche market. I do think
definitely an uptick.
I mean,
though.
certainly it's seasonal, so there'll always be the dry January stuff, or maybe Stoptober, where that stuff may come into its own. I must say though, and having seen this philosophy, the sales of those products are not that strong to justify a lot of the hype. And maybe, you know, and that's online as well. So we're serving a national audience, and we don't see massive amounts of sell through of that product. Not because it's bad quality. In fact, I've had some really good 0 or close to 0% alcohol beers recently, like Zed by Hamilton, really good.
And the peanut.
Oh, the peanut Crunch, and the version of alcohol-free version of Crunch, again,
stunning,
really good. Really,
makes the best brownies.
Exactly. Yeah. So who needs the 5% ABV version? But I do think there's an element of, it's always going to be a niche market, and even though people will be looking for health kicks and stuff, maybe certainly where we are physically in Essex, I don't think it's a huge market. There'll always be someone who's the designated driver who might want to look like they're having a beer, but I'm not so sure that those trends that we may be seeing in suburban London are really coming out here, and I'm not seeing them nationally either. You know, there's always going to be room for, you know, interesting table beer became a thing again, didn't it? Again, they don't sell that well too, because, you know, they're 3% or 2.8%. You go, I might as well have the 4% one, because you know, it's a bit of a stigma sometimes for people.
Is this what you probably like recognize as the biggest seller? Like, let's say a 4% pale ale or a 4.5% lager. This is what, in a way, you've seen more often getting sold.
Go on, yeah. There's different channels. We'll answer them both
because we're on various channels. It you know, it does vary, but I have to say, in the tap room, people are looking 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, maybe a little bit too risque, but they want something really hazy. You know, IPA or pale ale.
Yeah,
for sure. Oh look, David. For sure.
Hey,
Online, lager, we sell so much lager.
I'd say, yes, I was saying, chat. So lager, we sell loads of it in kind of generic markets, like gifting markets, like Amazon. People buy it's because people are buying something that's maybe like a little bit better than buying your friend a box of Carlsberg. So it's, you know, it's a Hoppily branded gift pack, right? So you go for the first order of craft beer, which is a craft lager pack for good craft lagers. So that's a different market. So for the people who are coming in to buy, people who are coming into Hoppily because they want to have the selection. I think there's a slightly different, you know, take on that. I think actually, you know, there is some seasonality. So, you know, we've had stout and porter season. I mean, I've been amazed at the amount of stouts and porters we've sold, much more than I would ever have anticipated in the last quarter.
And actually, the quality has been exceptional.
Yeah, it's been some fantastic
really
dark beers. And actually, what's interesting is that I think dark beer sales are actually holding up more now than I would have expected.
Yeah.
But so I think there's always going to be hype beers. So there's you know, people will look for a putty or whatever it might be. I think that the taproom customer is different though. Yeah, the guys they're not really that worried about what it is. It just needs to be. I don't want it to be too strong. Like 4.5%, like as if I would go into like a normal pub and drinking a normal beer. They don't get surprised by an 8% double IPA unless they've chosen that. There's some people who want to go for that stuff and the strong, interesting stuff. But you know, the average customer, and for us, the average customer is someone who we're kind of taking on that craft beer journey, wants to start with 4.5% pale ale, and that's what you know. Maybe that's not the most exciting thing, but hey, there's some good quality beers in that range too, and you know, absolutely fine.
The amount of you know, esoteric beers, as you called in our previous call, and
it's a very me word, isn't it?
I love it, but you're right. You can't keep going on that all the time, and especially in situations like where we are right now. I'm just having a simple meal. I want to have a simple beer because I'm having a simple night. So
I don't want to have something that's really weird. I'm just, I mean, esoteric breweries, I find, is it. So one of the things that we do on Hoppily is that we try to feature breweries that other people don't necessarily stock, or maybe you can only get them very locally to that brewery. And then we find that we will start selling these esoteric breweries to people who can't access them. So like when we get orders, say from from people in Newcastle or Leeds or Manchester, they're often buying. You go, that's a really odd selection of breweries. It's like, they're buying things they can't get at their local. It's people who are really interested in beer and they can't get it in their local bottle shop, so they're buying it from us because it's something different. And it could be that they go for a whole. They'll start. It could be they're buying beers from Chelmsford Brewing Company, who are very close to us here, but probably aren't selling very many beers in Edinburgh, right, or in Manchester wholesale. So they're probably not that kind of brewery isn't accessible. So, or there's many other examples, but we see that quite a lot, and that's quite interesting. That's what we find that really gratifying. So it sounds like we're doing something different that's actually serving customers. It's all very well everybody having Verdant and everybody having Cloudwater or everybody having whatever pressure drop, but you can get that pretty much from everybody. So I find it really interesting we're always looking for new breweries. Any breweries on there, like. Send us some samples, send us some pricing. If we think it looks cool, we might buy some, right?
You do have
Porn Star Martini. That's a cool little beer.
You do have beers that I haven't seen very often in the bottle shops that I normally look at, and this is what I think is your strength.
Good. That's what we want to see.
You're not snobby. You don't have a snobby attitude, which is what it makes me feel sometimes I'm not appropriate anymore to be associated to the strictest of the craft beer community. So well done on that. And most important, because we're running out of time, you're now really putting me in the position to say, I need to invite you again. Because we have so much to talk, guys.
Well, why ever not? Yeah, we're more than happy to do that.
I'll get mine though.
We can talk about other things,
No,
we've got dogs, we've got beer and dogs. Here you go. Here's a there's pugs.
Look at that.
Met a few people in the London beer community.
Yeah, I know this dog probably met a lot of sales reps during the time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's good for a 10% discount. So,
well,
I should shout out to 360 Degrees Brewing, who I've been slugging on this, and actually really uncouthly out of a can as well.
Nice.
Double act, hazy pale ale, really nice, really good. Thank you guys. That arrived today, so
you're smashing that first.
Cellar cold.
Let me put it this way. I don't know if you guys gonna have to do much about it, but the second episode of Turning the Tides, the show that I've been producing, is starting in 15 minutes. And I promise I'm going to be there commenting on the thing. So if you're going to have a chance to look at, do it tonight, do later, do another day, and tell me what you think about. In the meantime, I'm so happy that I got to meet you. And I'm so happy that you jump in, because you really gave us some very interesting points of view about the industry and inspirational things about what you're doing in there, which is really great.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for inviting us on. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Stay safe.
My pleasure.
Take care.
Cheers.
I see you down in Essex. Maybe London as well.
Yeah, come for a couple of beers soon. Yeah. Just Chelmsford from Stratford is 25 minutes. So
lovely.
Take care.
Have a good one. See you soon. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Later on.
That was really cool. Was it all right? Yeah. Oh, you stay on, kids.